Hey guys, welcome back to my family. Welcome back to my family. Let's start that again. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellorose. If you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe. If you've been on this channel, you're already subscribed. Welcome back. I love you so much.
2, 3.
Today, as you can see from the title of this video, I do want to talk about something a little bit more serious, but you know, nothing's ever that serious on this channel because I just like to laugh and have fun. And life is like that. Sometimes life is hard. Sometimes life throws some crazy little curveballs at you, but you got to make sure that you're staying positive and laughing all the time through it, because then what it is all for, I don't know. A PCOS, if you don't know what PCOS is, it is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is something that I have been living with. I was just recently diagnosed, but I assumed, and my doctor also assumed, that I've actually had it for a pretty long time. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about it, because when I was diagnosed with it, I didn't really know anything about it. I've never actually heard of PCOS at all. So she really had to educate me on what it was, and I did my own research on it as well. 70% of women right now are probably not even diagnosed at all, because they don't think there's anything wrong that's going on. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is basically a condition that affects a woman's hormone levels, and this is only gonna be in women. Men cannot get PCOS. And basically, just dumbing it down, the simple version of it is basically you have too much of male hormone, so you have too much testosterone. And that's not good. We're women. We don't need that much. All women do have testosterone. We do need some, but we don't need too much testosterone. So some of the effects of PCOS is infertility. It's going to be the one big major thing that I know I was concerned about. But infertility, it just makes it doesn't like take the ability for you to get pregnant altogether, but it does make it that much harder. I've been battling PCOS for a long time. I want to say around 14 is when I really started to notice a lot of changes, a lot of irregularities with my period and everything, which is one of the big symptoms as well. Irregular periods are a big thing, and they're a to deal with. Periods alone are already annoying to deal with, but irregular periods, the way you get them sometimes with PCOS, are very frustrating, and I've been dealing with it since then. But I just got diagnosed, I want to say at like 23, 24. So another effect besides the infertility and the irregular periods is also obesity. It's very common in people who are diagnosed with PCOS. It's just very easy to gain weight and very hard to lose it. Go figure. Another thing which I don't suffer as much from is hair growth. So seeing that it is having too much male hormones, testosterone, you're gonna grow hair and lose hair the same way a man would if it goes untreated too much. So you can start growing hair on your face, on your upper lip. You can start losing hair in a male way, which honestly I think that I might be. My hair has thinned a lot around this area right here, the same way kind of a man would kind of lose hair right there. Skin conditions, skin changes, really, not skin conditions, because you can either get discolored skin. So like the back of the neck, your neck could be really dark. I know you've probably seen it before. No, it does not mean you're dirty. No, it doesn't mean anything. And you don't just have to have PCOS to get discolored skin like that. But I know it can happen a lot in the back of your neck. I happen to have it a lot on my hands. My thumbs are very dark for some reason, especially right there. So that's all that it is. Sometimes it's just darker, discolored skin. I don't deal with that too much, but there is some places where I do have it, unfortunately. But those are basically just some of the things that you have to deal with when you do have PCOS. When are you at risk to get PCOS or to be diagnosed or to suffer from PCOS? It's basically whenever you get your period. So once you get your period, you are at risk of getting PCOS. I don't really think doctors know yet from the research that I did. I don't think they know yet why women get it, why some women get it, why some women don't. I don't know if it's like related with like any like family, like, you know, something that's hereditary. I don't think so. It didn't really say online, but a lot of women do have it. To get properly diagnosed, you do need to go to the OBGYN. Like I said, I've actually been suffering from it for a long time, and it wasn't even properly diagnosed until I finally went to an OBGYN just a couple years ago, I want to say, and she definitely did catch it. Because, you know, they're paying more attention to your uterus and your vagina. So they're going to be the ones that's going to really be looking for things like that. PCOS can also cause insulin resistance. So with that, it also increases the risk of you getting type 2 diabetes. It just said that type 2 diabetes was one of the most common things, but pretty much diabetes, whenever you have any kind of insulin deficiencies, diabetes is just one of those things that can definitely affect you. So PCOS does target your insulin. So again, there is medicine that you can take to kind of help with insulin, also help with periods that can do it. There's nothing that kind of cures PCOS. There's nothing that's going to make it go away. There's things that we'll talk about that can help with it, but medication is definitely one of them. And with it, it's a lot of things that a lot of maybe some of you may not have even thought about or will think about it if you are diagnosed or have just been diagnosed or have had PCOS for a long time. It was something I didn't really think about until I actually did my own research and I kind of looked into it because I really wanted to understand what it was, especially because, you know, the way that I pictured my life, I always thought that I was going to have children. I have tried in the past to have children. I really didn't know why I've never really had a scare. I've never been pregnant at all. I never had a miscarriage. So I've never actually been pregnant at all, but, I have tried, and to have, you know, had zero successes at all, it kind of was another reason why I really looked into it as well. And was going to the OBGYN altogether because I really kind of wanted to know and make sure that everything was working well down there. Because, you know, when you're in your early 20s, you're not really thinking about stuff like that. But I was getting a little bit older. And when I was trying, it was kind of really frustrating because I wasn't really sure why it wasn't happening for me at all. But this is one of the reasons. And, you know, with that, with all of the effects of it, hair growth, irregular periods, not being able to have kids as easily as other people, obesity, diabetes, all of these things that come with it, you have to really make sure, because it's not something that's going to come, but it is definitely something that can affect your mental, something that can bring on depression, anxiety. So you have to really make sure that you're taking care of yourself even a little bit extra when you have PCOS, because you're kind of dealing with all of these things. And these are things that a lot of women deal with just regularly, but they're really intensified when you have PCOS. Like, let's say, like just recently, I actually got my period. My birthday is November 9th. We're now February, I think it's February 22nd. I had my period. I got it actually on my birthday, which was very aggravating. So I got my period on my birthday, November 9th, and my period did not officially end until the 3rd week of January. Imagine having your period for 2.5 months. It is not fun, okay? Like, 7 days, 5 days is enough. 3 days, okay? Because some women do have it for 3 days. And that's enough. Nobody wants to bleed every day. Nobody wants to do it. I don't care what you say. Nobody wants to bleed out of their vagina. So when you do for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, or 2 months at a time, it is very aggravating. And with this period, I actually have to go back to my doctor. I've been, procrastinating to make an appointment. But this period was actually one of the worst that I've ever had ever. I've had my period for more than a month at a time, and then usually when that happens, it won't come for like 2 or more months. This is what happens that makes infertility very difficult, because you never really know when you're ovulating. It's very difficult if you're ovulating at all ever, because your periods are so irregular, so it becomes very difficult. So you have to make sure that with all of these difficulties, With the period that I had, I was dealing with cramps that were so bad, I could barely do anything. I could barely eat. Whenever I did eat, I would get sick. I was rejecting everything, any kind of cheeses, meats, milks, dairy, everything. My body was just rejected everything. It was in so much pain everywhere that it was just like so difficult. I had to go to work. On top of that, you know, they say that when you're cramping, it's usually, you know, there's clotting going on. So then there was very heavy flows that I was actually at work in agony. I had to take 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen. Do not recommend that. Don't do that. But I had to do something to take away the pain because I had to go to work. Because, you know, unfortunately, we don't get any type of bleed when we breathe through our vagina. Thank you, government. Anyways, we don't get any type of leave for that. So even though we're bleeding out of our vagina and almost feel like we're dying, we still have to go to work. And so I did. And I bled through my jeans and it was great. Yeah. So with that, that's very difficult to deal with. So you have to deal with all of those things and then still try and live a regular day-to-day life. So the point I was trying to make was to make sure that you're paying a lot of close attention to your mental health, because a lot of these things could just mentally drain you, physically and mentally drain you, and that's just a double whammy that nobody would like to deal with. I definitely do not like it, but we live through it anyways, and we are bigger than whatever we're battling. So remember that. So maybe you think you have PCOS, maybe some of these things sound familiar to you, but you were never diagnosed. You can kind of watch. I want three things that you can definitely watch out for, and maybe bring up to your doctor the next time you see them. Again, I would suggest going to an OBGYN, but you can also go to your primary doctor and bring it up. They would probably refer you to an OBGYN. But the three things that you have to look out for is, of course, high levels of testosterone. The only way that you can physically see you have a lot of testosterone is going to be the male hair growths and hair loss, where you can kind of, irregular cycles. If you are dealing with irregular cycles where you're going months bleeding or months without bleeding, anything that's just not the regular 3 to 7 days of bleeding every month, it's gonna be irregular. So I would just go ahead and ask your doctor about that. Another way is also cysts in your ovaries. I have had cysts in my ovaries for a long time. I think a lot of the people in my family actually do have cysts on their ovaries. I think it's when it becomes more irregular where you kind of have to see it. I had somebody, I think in my family, where they had a cyst on their ovaries, and it grew really large and it popped, and that's actually very freaking painful and dangerous. So, don't have that happen to you. So again, that is something also that you would have to check out. That also can cause irregular periods from what I read. Google. Very accurate information. For you to be diagnosed with PCOS, you have to have two out of those three things, which again, male hormones, irregular periods, cysts on your ovaries. Those are going to be the three things that they're checking for. You can have all three, but you only really need to have the two to be diagnosed with PCOS officially. And like I did say at the beginning of the video, there's nothing that's going to cure PCOS. It's kind of like herpes. You're stuck with it for life. But you can minimize all of your side effects from PCOS, like almost completely, if you do some of these things. No guarantees. So the first one is definitely going to be to lose weight. Number one, first thing, which is one of my goals and why I'm pretty focused on it right now, because again, I would like to have children one day in my life. And even if I don't have children, keeping my body healthy is definitely just something that I want to work towards. And do keep in mind, this is going to be something that's only going to affect your infertility, but it doesn't mean it's going to take away your infertility altogether. It doesn't mean that you cannot have children. So don't be scared about that at all. It was something that I was kind of like strucken back at, and it did hurt. It does hurt. I'm not going to take that away from you or myself. That's something that I just want you guys to keep in mind. It is something that PCOS does make infertility and getting pregnant difficult, but it doesn't take that ability away from you altogether. You can get your weight down. It's going to help with the testosterone levels, which is going to then help your your woman hormone levels go up and your organs working, not your organs, but your ovaries and everything working more properly so that you can become more fertile and have children. I'm weird. I don't know how to take anything seriously. I'm sorry. Medication, like I said in the beginning, medication is one of those things that you definitely can take to help with PCOS symptoms. The two that were presented to me by my OBGYN is birth control and metformin. Birth control birth control is going to be recommended whenever you have any kind of irregular periods, and also for younger women, because you know a lot of women in their 20s not trying to have babies right now. I want babies, but I don't want babies right now. When you take metformin, usually they offer this to older women, maybe women who do want to get pregnant or trying to get pregnant. It's not birth control obviously prevents pregnancies. Metformin does not. Metformin helps actually with insulin levels. So because PCOS does affect insulin, which is like we talked about, can cause diabetes and everything, metformin would help in that way. Because it also fights with the insulin and stuff. So a lot of people who do have diabetes, older people, actually take metformin regularly. I don't know if there's any more medications. Those are the two that I know of from what my doctor told me, and also doing research. So I mean, I'm one of those people who don't really like taking too much medication unless I really need it. I'm trying to hold off on any medication, birth control, metformin, anything, because I want to kind of do everything like a real natural way. You know that I've kind of been cutting off everything that I think is bad. Trying to keep any kind of chemicals out of my body, any kind of just too much unnecessary bad things that we too commonly consume for no reason just because we can. But if I see that that's not working, birth control or metformin or any other kind of medication is something that I would consider. It's not something that I would cut off altogether, but that is just something that I'm doing. Everybody's going to be different. Just remember, like any other battle that you have to go through, whether that's just stress in your life, maybe any other diseases or anything that you have to deal with, you are bigger than all of that. If you keep a positive mind, if you keep a positive open heart, you can get through anything. Life has challenges altogether, and being negative about them is not going to make the situation any better. So even though we have to deal with this, it doesn't define who we are as people. You're amazing just the way you are, whether you have to deal with this or not. So just remember that it is just another rock in the road that we have to trip over, but we get right back up and be like, damn rock. That's probably a bad analogy, but whatever. I love you guys so much. If this is something that you do suffer from, comment down below. Let's talk about it. Kind of start a community under this video, because it's nice to not be alone. I don't really know anybody else who also suffer from PCOS. So I don't really have anybody to talk to about it when it kind of like starts flaring up. So yeah, we can definitely start our own community down on this video. Talk to me personally. You can always email me. I have all of my information down below. Email, Snapchat, Instagram, and I sometimes have it on my videos somewhere. I love you so much. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and make sure you turn on your post notifications, because you'd never be wanting to miss out on none of this, okay? I love you guys so much, and until next time,